Please be seated. The court is now back in session. Before giving the floor to the co-prosecutor, I would like to clarify the time allotted to parties. Co-prosecutor with the civil party will have 1 day to put question to this witness. Earlier, I said you two have 1 full day and 1 session, but actually co-prosecutor together with civil party, you will have only 1 day to put question to this witness. You may now proceed, co-prosecutor.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness will now go into another line of questioning. It is the structure of staff organization at the Krantachan Security Center. When you arrived there in 1975, that is at Krantachan Security Center, did you stop receiving instructions from your former unit leader PIN or the head of the district military force?
Answer. I did not receive the orders from him.
Alors, une fois à Krantachan,
Once you got to Krantachan, who gave instructions to all staff at the center, who was in charge of discipline, and who chaired meetings at the center?
Answer. An and Peng.
Quelles étaient les fonctions de Ta'an et les fonctions de Peng?
What were Ta'an's functions and Ten's functions?
Answer. Ta'an was the party member.
Est-ce que c'est lui qui dirigeait le centre de...
Was he the person who headed the Krantachan Center?
Ta'an.
Answer. It was Ta'an.
Et Peng, quelle était sa fonction par rapport à Ta'an?
And what were Ta'an's functions in relation to Ta'an?
Peng was the deputy.
En ce qui vous concerne...
Now, concerning you, who ordered you to deliver letters and therefore to be a messenger?
Answer. Ta'an ordered me to be a messenger.
Quand vous êtes arrivé...
And when you arrived on site with the 5 other guards, aside from Ta'an and Tachen, who belonged to the committee at the security center?
There were only 2 individuals, as I mentioned, who were the leaders of the security center.
And you also spoke about a so-named Cheng, C-H-E-N-G, in your written record of interview, D40/23, at Khmer ERN 00165353, French 00490907-08, English 0022 3 209. And you said the following. Question, what was the name of the person who said that during the meeting, and who was he? It was a so-named An. He was the leader of the Krang Tachang office, but I forgot his last name. Free translation. Next question. With regard to the meeting to implement the plan, aside from An, who was the chief, were there any other people? Answer. Aside from An, there was a so-named Pen, P-E-N-H, and Cheng, C-H-E-N-G. But I do not know their last names either.
Est-ce que le nom de Cheng
Does the name Cheng remind you of a particular function at the Krang Tachang Center or not?
Answer. I did not know Jane's position or function. However, I knew that the 6 individuals were party members.
Très bien. Est-ce que vous vous souvenez?
Very well. Do you remember the names of the 6 members of the party, apart from An, Pen, and Chan, I have already referred to? Who were the 3 others?
Answer. An, Pen, Jane, Chiang, Chuan, and another person's name also Chiang. There were 2 Chiang. And those are the chief of youth unit in the district.
Dans votre procès-verbal,
In the record of your interview, the same one we've referred to before, you also talked of a person called Mern. Does that name remind you of any member of the party?
right.
Answer. Yes, actually, this person, I know this person, and I forgot mentioning his name.
Comment savez-vous que ces 6 personnes
How did you know that those 6 or 7 persons were members of the party, that is the Communist Party of Cambodia?
Answer. Actually, there were 2 types of meetings.
Je vous demandais si ces personnes
My question was whether those 6 persons told you they were members of the Communist Party of Cambodia. If not, how did you know that they were members of the party?
Answer. I observed that there were 2 types of meeting at that time. One type of meeting include the composition of party members.
D'accord, donc il y avait
Very well. So there were 6 party members when you arrived with your group of 6, that is the 6 security guards. Is it correct to say that your unit, consisting of 6 security guards, was subordinate to the unit composed of 6 party members?
Answer. Yes.
en tant que subordonné,
As a subordinate, did you have to obey orders from members of the party, particularly the committee of the Krang Tachang leadership, or you had the choice not to do what you were asked to do?
Answer. Actually, six of us were the guards stationed outside of the compound.
Ma question était différente.
My question was different. I wanted to find out whether, as subordinates to the unit of party members, you were under a duty to obey any instructions meted to you. For instance, carry out certain tasks and to work as messengers.
Answer, yes. We had to obey the order because the order came from the superior.
Est-ce que vous saviez ce qui se passerait
Do you know what would have happened during that period if you did not abide by disciplinary measures handed down to you by the leadership of the Krantachan Center?
If we did not comply with the disciplines order, we would be detained in the prison.
Est-ce qu'il y a eu des exemples de
Have there been any examples in the past of guards who didn't comply with disciplinary measures who were detained at the Krantachan Security Center?
Yes.
Est-ce que vous pouvez nous donner le nom de cette ou de ces personnes
Can you give us the name or the names of the persons who were detained for that reason?
Answer. This person had the moral offense with a lady outside of the compound and he was detained in the prison.
Vous ne vous souvenez plus de son nom, c'est ça?
You no longer remember that person's name? Or can you give us the revolutionary name of that person?
Answer. His name was Seung.
Est-ce que le nom de ta dame
Does the name Ta Dam mean anything to you?
Yes, Tadam and Seung committed a moral misconduct.
Je vais venir au détail de
I'll now talk about the detailed functions of the members of the party, that is the party leadership. First, as regards the administration, were the members of the party in charge of administration, inter alia, keeping records, writing letters and reports, and keeping lists of prisoners?
Answer. I was not aware of this because I was young at that time.
un de vos collègues, Sim,
One of your colleagues, Sim, said in the record of his interview D40/20, and the Khmer page is 0016 5330. In French, it is 0052 4319, and in English, it is 0043 3570. This is what Sim stated, and I quote: "There was a person called Duch. He was the chief in charge of records and documents, end of quote. A while ago, you mentioned the name Deutsch, who worked at the district. That person called Deutsch, did he have any specific duties at Kranta Chan Center?
เคยกอดโจรวม
Answer. I saw him participated in the meeting every month. I did not dare to look at his face.
Donc pour clarifier, vous avez
To be very specific, you refer to another Deutsch in your guard unit, and he was from a district. Did they distinguish them by different names in order not to confuse both persons or the names of both persons during that period?
โดยหมู่
Answer. One Deutsch was from the district and one Deutsch was a guard. And Deutsch who was working as a guard was assigned and asked to do the typing.
Est-ce que celui qui venait du district
And the person who came from the district, did he also know how to type, or it was the other Deutsch who could type?
Answer. Two Deutsch could know how to do the typing.
Donc si je comprends bien, il n'y avait que
So if I understand you correctly, it was only the junior Deutsch from your unit who knew how to type. Is that correct?
แต่
Answer. Actually, little Deutsch or small Deutsch did the regular task of typing, and as for little Deutsch, he would lend a hand in some occasion only.
vous avez dit dans votre procès-verbal
In the record of your interview, E319.1.33, in answer to question number 56, which had to deal with letters, that is, letters you delivered at the level of the district as a messenger. These letters were reports on prisoners and confessions, right? And your answer was yes, that is correct. End of quote. So your answer appears to indicate that you nevertheless knew that the letters you delivered had to do with reports. How did you know that the mails you delivered dealt with reports, confessions, and prisoner lists?
Answer. As for the letters, I had a letter and I delivered them to the respective places, and I did not dare to open and read the letters, otherwise I would be killed.
La deuxième fonction sur laquelle
The second function I would like us to focus on, still with regard to the 6 members of the party, has to do with the duties that those members carried out regarding the interrogation of prisoners. I'll read out what you stated in the first record of your interview, D40/23, in Khmer 00165354. In French, it is 00490908, and in English, 00223210. And I quote, the question, how many people work in the center, the chiefs and their subordinates? And your answer is 12 in all. Next question, what were their names? Answer, It was An, Pen, Cheng, Ching, Men, Chön, Duch, Seng, Sim, Wook, Tuch, and the last was myself. The next question, at that center, were people divided into sections to carry out work? Your answer, yes, the interrogation section and the guard section. Question, who was in charge of the interrogation section? Answer, An, Cheng, and Pen. So you gave three names, An, Chen, and Pen, among the 6 party members. Did the other party members also play any role during interrogations? Or they did not play any role?
Answer. They rotated in their work in this matter.
Donc les 6 membres du parti.
So the 6 party members took turns in interrogating the prisoners. Is that correct?
បាទ
Answer. Yes, that is correct.
Est-ce que pendant les interrogatoires,
Now, during the interrogations, did the security guard unit have any role to play, for instance, guarding the interrogation venue or taking prisoners to the locations where they had to be interrogated?
6 រូបហ្នឹង
Answer. The 6-man unit, they would coordinate work among themselves.
je voudrais maintenant en venir au rôle
I would like us to talk of the role of the leadership committee of the party regarding the execution of prisoners. And I'll read out 2 extracts from the record of your interview. The first is D21/23, and in Khmer it's 00165355. In French it is 00490909, and in English 00223211. And the question was as follows. As for those who are in charge of the execution of prisoners, do you know where they came from? And your answer, that section consisted of the 6 party members. Question, what were the names of each of those 6 party members? And your answer was An, Pen, Chen, Ching, Men, and Chern. End of quote. And in the second record of your interview, your answer is somewhat different, and I'll read it out, and it is E319.1.33. Question 193. Was it only corn and Ruos, R-U-O-S, who were perpetrators of the killing, to your knowledge? Answer 193. There were 5 party members who were perpetrators of the killings. Ching, C-H-H-I-E-N-G, Pen, P-E-N-H, Men, M-O-E-U-N, Ruos, R-U-O-S, and Korn, K-H-O-R-N. Question 196. How do you know that Pen, Cheng, Ruos, Korn, and Men were the executioners? Answer, that is 196, because they were the only other people who worked at the detention office. And you end with this strange answer. Did you ever hear people say those 5 were the executioners? Your answer was no. So I would like you to specify who were in charge of the execution of prisoners. Was it the entire leadership consisting of the 6 party members plus 2 persons called Korn and Ross? Or there were specifically the individual persons that you mentioned?
Answer. I did not know Ruh and Korn.
Est-ce que à un quelconque moment
Did you at any point in time during your assignment at Kantachan, did some of your colleagues among the 6 security guards receive orders from Ta'an or Tapen to play any role in the execution of prisoners?
Answer. I myself was not involved in the task because I was said that I was too young.
Très bien, d'ailleurs, je ne.
Very well. I am not accusing you of anything. I know that you were very young. But as regards the 5 other persons who were members of your security guard unit, did some of them receive any orders to take part in the execution of prisoners?
Answer. During that period, I was not aware of this matter because I was a messenger sending letters out to the outside areas, and I did not know about this.
You said that you were the youngest in the group and that you were not asked to participate in the executions. Were there any other kinds of tasks that were not given to you because of your age, whether it be in terms of supervising the prisoners or any other kinds of tasks linked to the security center?
I was assigned to do the outside guard.
I'm going to try to understand what your security guards unit might have done since they were under the authority of the party members. Did Ta'an or the other members of the committee ask members of your unit, that was therefore subordinate, to supervise the prisoners who were working outside and to make sure that none would escape?
Yes.
Est-ce qu'on a
Were some members of your unit also asked to supervise prisoners in the detention houses?
When they started from the day we started doing the guard duty, I was assigned to guard outside.
I will get back to that tomorrow probably. Were the members of your team requested to bring the new prisoners who arrived at Krang Tachang outside? was your unit asked to bring them to the detention buildings so that these prisoners would be shackled?
No, they only did that work among themselves.
Were certain members of your unit, that is to say, the unit that was under the party, and I'm not speaking about you, I'm speaking about the other members, were they asked to bring prisoners to the interrogation place and then to bring them back after the interrogation?
We, the guards, were not used for that task.
So who then brought the prisoners to the interrogation place? And then who brought them back? Was it the members of the leadership or the guards or other prisoners who were in charge of doing so?
They only did that work, that is to bring the prisoners out and to bring them back amongst themselves.
Donc, en
So to sum things up, if I understood well, with regard to the administration, the interrogation, and the execution of the prisoners, this was only the leadership that took care of that, while the security guards did practically nothing. Is that correct?
Yes.
A few questions regarding people you associated to the Krang Tachang Center in your written record of interview. And I'm going to start with Deutsch and P. And this is what you said. In your first record, D40/23, it's the very last question, and I don't need therefore to mention the ERNs. While you worked at this office, did you ever see any high-level leader go to inspect there? Your answer, only P and Deutsch, who worked at Tramkak district. They often rode motorcycles and vehicles there. End of quote. And you confirmed earlier that these two people indeed would go to the security center, and you said that Duke was head of the youth at the district level. Did Deutsch stay on site at Krang Tachan? I'm speaking about the big Deutsch, or did he only come periodically?
The big Dutch only came from time to time.
votre collègue,
Your colleague, Little Dutch, therefore, at the hearing and in his written record of interview D32/93, answer 4, said, I remember that the Trang Tachang prison chief was called An, and his underling was Deutsch. End of quote, free translation. Do you disagree with Little Deutsch regarding Big Deutsch's role as An's deputy at Krang Tachang?
I did not know the details in this matter.
As far as you know, and based on what you noted there, why did Big Deutsch come to Krang Tachang? Was it to supervise the prisoners, to observe, to carry out investigations, or to manage the administrative aspects of the center, or any other reasons? Can you tell us why he would come to Krang Tachang?
I did not know the details of his visit.
Did you ever see Big Duch come to Krang Tachang until the end of 1978 or the beginning of 1979?
មក
Sometimes he came twice a month.
Et donc,
So you suggest that he would come until the very end of the security center.
I did not know the details of his visits. However, during 1978, he came more frequently, and sometimes he stayed overnight, or sometimes he stayed for 2 nights.
I'm going to read an excerpt, not right away, in fact. Well, I can tell you that on the case file there is a written record of interview of Big Duke E3/4627, 4627, and at page 00163992 in Khmer, in French 00651258 in French, and English 00223475. Big Duke says that he went to assess the situation.
Mr. President, thank you. I'm not sure if it has been established yet that the witness the prosecution is referring to, who is, as we know, dead, is in fact the same person as Big Duke. So, unless the prosecution can convince me otherwise, I think I should object to this question.
It's going to be hard to establish this specifically with the witness here. So does the name Yip Duch mean anything to you in relation to Big Duke? Are these the same people, or are they two different people?
There were 2 Dutch at Krang Tachang. One was a big Dutch and another one was a small Dutch.
មួយដូចហៅ
And one was Dutch Ellis Sarat, and another one I only knew him by his name, Dutch.
I would like to ask you, witness, if you saw personally actors Kim Nova and Nom Noveng at Krang Tachang, or if you ever heard about them.
No, I did not.
Another question. Pertains to Tapi, and you said earlier on that when coming from when he came from Trak Tak district, he went to Krang Tachang Security Center. So what do you believe were Tapi's duties at Krang Tachang. What district? What was his position at the district level? Correct, interpreter.
The handicapped. I did not know about his actual role or position, but he was overall in charge of Krang Tachang office.
Did he maybe have any kind of duties in terms of security, or are you not sure?
I was not sure at all.
Earlier on, I quoted to you excerpts from your written records of interview, and you spoke about an old man, Com, and Taros, Rus, R-O-S, who would execute people. And you told us that you never heard about these people. Can you confirm this? Can you confirm that these people did not come to Krang Tachang to execute people?
I did not know Takon and Taru. I don't know if they came at night time, but during the daytime I did not see them.
So you're telling us that nobody would come from the district to assist in the execution of prisoners, and therefore it is only the 6 members of the party who would take care of this at Krang Tachang.
Yes.
Now I would like to turn to your role as a messenger at Krang Tachang Center, working with the district. Were you the only one at Krang Tachang to travel to the district to deliver envelopes from the Krang Tachang Center, or were there other people doing the same?
There were 2 of us. One was Moon, a party member, and I, myself.
Would Moon travel to the district by bicycle, to the district office in Ang Roka?
At that time, bicycles were the only means of transportation.
Aside from you and Moon, do you know if the party cadres working at the district level, such as Big Duke or Tapi, would bring letters with them when they would come to Krang Tachang? Did you see them deliver letters to Ta'an when they arrived?
I did not stay inside the compound, so I did not see what happened.
Did it ever happen that it was Ta'an, Taduj, Tapeng, or Cheng who would give you letters directly to deliver to the district?
Sometimes when they went to visit their family, they would bring the letters, or sometimes they handed me the letters when they went outside to where I stood guard.
And when you would deliver the messages given to you by the leadership, would you give them directly to the district seat at the Angroka? And you would hand them to the district chief directly? Or did you deliver them to what you described as the Office of Commerce at Angroka?
It happens sometimes every day, sometimes every 3 days. I did not deliver the message or the letter directly to the district chief, but instead I handed it to the messenger, his messenger.
And was the Commerce Office at Angroka in the same building as the district seat at Tramkak, or was there any kind of distance between both offices?
I was not really familiar with the district office, but in fact I went to the Commerce Office. I believe there were 2 locations of the district office. One was at Liebo and the other one was at Trapang Thom.
And when we speak about Angroka, can you tell us where this place was in relation to which commune?
Angroka
Angroka was located near the bridge and near the where the market is. It is in Trapang Thom Khang Tabong commune.
So was this place located at the west of Angtasom? And if so, how many kilometers away?
From Ong Tasao market to Angroka market, the distance is about 10 kilometers.
Aside from the letters that you would deliver to the district, did you deliver letters elsewhere? Whether it be to certain communes or cooperatives or to other security centers located in Tramkak district?
No, I did not. I only courier the letters between Krantachan office and the Commerce Office.
And you mentioned in your written record of interview the Angroka prison. I'll get back to that later, but can you tell us if the Angroka prison was far from the Office of Commerce in Angroka, therefore far from the market?
They made a location about 300 or 400 meters from the current Angroka market where they house the light offense prisoners.
And was this prison close to the Office of Commerce or to the district seat? How far was it about from these 2 other places?
The distance from the Commerce Office was only about 400 to 500 meters. As for the real office, district office, I did not know its real location.
And earlier you told us that if you would open an envelope, you would be executed. That's also what you said in your written record of interview E319.1.33 at answer 47. And you said, I would never read because they warned me that if I dared open an envelope, I would be executed. End of quote, free translation. Who told you that if you would open an envelope, you would be executed? Do you believe that it was a real threat, or was it just some kind of supposed threat?
At that time, from my observation, it was not just a magistrate. If I were to open the letter or the envelope, I would be executed.
I'm going to read to you another excerpt of this same written record of interview, E319.1.33, therefore. Question 34. Were the letters you carried in envelopes or stamped? Answer, they were typewritten and placed in envelopes, but they were not stamped. They were only sealed in the envelope with glue. Sometimes there was one letter, and sometimes there were 2 or 3 letters in one envelope. Question. How did you know that these envelopes were typed? These letters were typed? Answer 37, because Krang Tachang Security Office had one typewriter, but I never read the letters. I only saw them typing letters in the room and then placed them in envelopes. Question. Who did the typing? Answer. Initially, the chairman wrote the letters by hand. Then, handwritten draft was brought to the typist. Did you see An write these letters? Yes, I saw An write these letters in his office. I was about 6 or 7 meters away from his office, but I was not allowed to come close to where he was working. Answer 45. I never read any letters. Even when they made a report, they did not let me look at it. End of quote. Earlier on, you suggested that you were only guarding outside. And in this excerpt, however, we understand that you saw letters being typed, the letters that you had to deliver, that An would handwrite these letters, and then he would give them to the typist. And then you saw all of this personally. And you also speak about letters and reports, in fact. So can you give us details about what you saw in this office where letters were handwritten by Ta'an and then typed? You said that it was little Duke who typed these letters. You were 6, 7 meters away. So what did you see when you were there?
In that compound, we were not allowed to go near, in particular as I was a young boy. And I looked through the window and I saw him writing the letter, and that's what I stated in the statement.
Did Duke Sarat, that is to say little Duke, spend a lot of time typing in this office, in Ta'an's office?
he used the typewriter every day, mostly in the morning.
So this means how often in the morning? Or for how long? Was it for a few minutes or was it for the entire morning?
It varied, and I was not there all the time, so I cannot say for certainty.
In your written record of interview E319.1.33, at question 36, was there any handwriting on the envelope? Question. You answered, there was only the addressee. For example, to Tassan. Mostly they were addressed to Tassan. And did you also, for a certain period of time, before sending the letters to Tassan, did you also deliver letters to Tachim, to Takit, or to Tachai?
No, during that period, I did not know about it.
Est-ce que le nom sur l'enveloppe est...
Was the name on the envelope typed or handwritten?
The envelopes were handwritten.
Et d'après ce que vous avez pu voir par la fenêtre,
And from what you were able to see when you looked in through the window, was it Ta'an writing or Little Deutsch?
It was Ta'an who wrote on the envelopes.
donc est-ce qu'on peut dire que vous étiez...
And can we say that you were familiar with Ta'an's handwriting? Can you recognize his handwriting?
At the present time, no, I cannot recognize, but back then I could.
Eh bien, Monsieur le Président, je crois...
Mr. President, I believe we can stop here because I would like to show the witness some documents to refresh his memory.
President, thank you, the International Co-Prosecutor. The Chamber adjourns the hearing now and resume tomorrow morning, that is Wednesday, the 4th of March 2015, commencing from 9 o'clock in the morning. And tomorrow the Chamber will continue to hear the testimony of the witness Wan Soon. This information is for the concerned parties and the general public. And Mr. Wan Soon, the hearing of your testimony as a witness has not yet concluded. You are therefore invited to return to the court tomorrow. And the hearing will commence from 9 o'clock in the morning, and you may now return to your residence. And court officer, in collaboration with WISU, please arrange the transportation of Wan Soon to his residence and arrange him to return to the courtroom before 9 o'clock tomorrow. And the Duty Council, you are also invited to return to tomorrow during the testimony of this witness. Security guards, you are instructed to take the two accused back to the detention facility of the ECCC and return them to the courtroom tomorrow morning before 9 o'clock. The court is now adjourned.